So I was here 77 to 81, and walking across the campus in your ROTC uniform, you know, you're only 5 years away from that experience of Vietnam. This country had not, this country did not receive the Vietnam veterans back in the proper way. And the country knows that. The country has since made up for that in the wars that followed. But we still need to make reparations in our hearts and in our minds for those that came back. And every time I talk to veterans, and I specifically recognize the Vietnam veterans and call them out, and it's very emotional for them. And I said, I apologize for our country, for the way we accepted you back and received you back. It was not with honor, and it was not with respect. So spent a lot of time with that. So that was still, that aura was still kind of around the university back then. So we were made fun of walking across. Hut 2, 3, 4. People would lay down in front of you like you killed them. I mean, it was ridiculous. So the professor of aerospace studies, we were telling him all these stories, and he says, hey, why don't you just carry your uniform or leave it in the locker room here, and then just change when you get here. And then we'll drill in the parking lot. We'll do all the things that we normally do. But let's not create an issue. Let's go ahead and do that. So it was unique.
But you got that group of people that really became close, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. It was just a special group of people. Just like any culture, the Air Force is a culture, the Army's a culture. All the services have their unique culture, but yet we all combine into just understanding what it means to contribute and be a part of a team.
So we had all the branches in this building. We're seated here in the Military Science Building on the campus of Ohio State University,
right.
Built in 1952. I asked someone coming in, I said, well, this building looks kind of old. What year was it built? And they said 52. I said, well, that's when I was born. So it is old.
Yeah.
So you had all your branches. Was there much interaction between branches? Was there much difference in how the different branches taught team?
The difference in the sense of the history and the heritage that you had to lean on. For example, the Army, hundreds of years. The Navy, hundreds of years, right? When you look at the Air Force back then, I mean, we are now just 76 years old. Young service. So we're finding ourselves. We're the aviation service, later to become air and space.
Yeah.
Later to become just air. There's now Space Command. So the Air Force is always evaluating, always, every service is, but there's so much history and heritage and just core foundational functions that the Army does, that the Navy doesn't do, that the Air Force doesn't do, but yet there's some functions that we all do. We all have an aviation department. So each culture, I would say the cultures are not necessarily too different amongst the services, but cultures are different within your specialty. An Air Force pilot, there's a certain culture within Air Force, being an Air Force pilot. There's a certain culture being a medical doctor. There's a certain culture being a mechanic, being on the logistics side of things. So there's a little bit of culture difference within that, because you have to raise those troops, those airmen, within that specialty.